will create more diversity rather than just spamming flamethrower until you can't use it anymore. Now, let's talk about
That's
what is
pretty
actually
cool.
unique about this game. While
I should make some art.
Enhance the detail and...
I think there's enough to enhance. Release it to my screen.
Enhance the reflection in her eye.
Let's run this through video enhancement.
Edgar, can you enhance this?
Hang on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In total, I counted 32 pixels, which is one of the standards. Most people work on 8x8, 16x16, 32x32, or 64x64. It's whichever they prefer. Each standard gives you a style and an amount of detail you can add. I started to work on the first monster that I doodled in my small notebook while I was on my way somewhere, I don't remember. But I didn't want to do just an animal makeover like a lot of Pokemon do. I took an inanimate object, a shell, and wanted to make it more alien and not animalistic. The first problem I encountered was making it look rough and edgy without clumping pixels. Pixels don't like that. They like to only touch 2 pixels max around themselves. Also, I failed to show off the shape of the shell. It looked flat, but I worked on it as much as I could and I didn't want to get stuck on it. I had other monsters to draw, and I just left it as I had. I just hope the art style doesn't change or something. God damn it, Reese.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
So is it 16 pixels or 32, Reese? Which is it? Which is it? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. It's not a big problem. I switched to a 16 by 16 pixel canvas and started working on a second monster. After working on it for a while, it did look similar to the aesthetic that the new Monster Tower art is going towards, but it lacked detail. It was cute, it was recognizable in a way, but it just wasn't detailed. And I recognize I'm doing fan art, so I switched to a 32 by 32. The next creature that I did and redid was a toucan inspired monster. I'd open up Google Images, searched birds, a toucan came up. Alright, I guess I'm making a toucan. I didn't want to make a bird specifically, so I chose a water guardian or an air guardian, hence the color blue. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Don't know why I just fisted my table. I didn't fist, but the whole premise was to make a slumbering, bulkier creature with the face of a toucan. And the only inspiration I drew from the new video and the new categories, the fire, ice elements, and the classes of like warrior, ranger, and so on, were only implemented later on with other monsters. For this one, I just chose a color, and that's it. Talking about those categories, I did like them. Well, of course they were gonna be implemented, but I like the difference of class and element, not just fire, water, air, earthbending, avatar, you know, all that. And after playing with it a bit, it wasn't distinct, but it was better than the shell guy. I very quickly came to dislike the shell guy. Believe me, I really hate him. But I left it off and I said,
Hey, that's pretty good.
The next creature I started to work on was actually clothing brand inspired creature. It's an American clothing brand, more sportsy, and I'm not gonna say the name. It's gonna be an Easter egg for you guys to find out. It's not a one-to-one drawing, it is inspired, so it might be harder to guess, but I believe in you. I chose the orange-red palette since I wanted to make this snack creature a fire sorcerer. The main idea was for the 4 surrounding eyes to be these pattern decoy eyes to distract its prey, and then the center one to do its thing, to cast flamethrower, spit fire, or burn the creature from the inside. Ooh, that's cool. I didn't think about that earlier, I just came up with that. That's kind of cool, like a thermal creature that heats you up from the inside. Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty. But yeah, I liked working on this one. The shape was quite recognizable. It was fluid. It had its bigger spots, smaller spots, and I played around with the shading quite a lot. One thing that I liked that Reese talked about in his new video was drawing a lot of influence from Native Americans. And I do like the new art style they chose. It's more unique, more itself, but I am waiting for a solution of how they will implement that into their monster art and just generally the world, because right now it's quite different. Next creature I started work on. I know what you're thinking. I know. Yes, I drew with a light green on a light gray background, but I fixed that, I promise. And it's easier to see. This was a raptor-inspired creature. I took inspiration from xenomorphs. I wanted to make it more bony, more skinny, but predatorial, and I didn't want it to give an eye on the face. I gave it an eye on the tail, or in a tail. Don't know which is correct one. Which is correct one, yes. You goddamn genius. You goddamn genius. I chose the color green since I wanted this to be a nature warrior or an assassin or a feral type monster, and I got to work. The main problem was it was dynamic, the shape was recognizable, but it was just kind of boring, kind of bland, you know, like eating an egg without salt or mayo or whatever you're into, you freaks, you filthy freaks. And the color green just dominated the monster. But I did find the solution. After finishing the outline, playing around with like fingers and claws I gave it up and started working on a pattern. I wanted to give more color. I didn't have limbs to detail, I just added some highlights and then moved on into this orange, yellow, greenish tint freckled pattern on its hip butt tail. To be honest, it does look like it just got hit with a plate of spaghetti, but it's better than nothing. The next problem I encountered with this fella was that its balance was way off. It was about to fall flat on its face. So I pulled the tail back to balance it out. After pulling it back and connecting the outline and the greens and filling in the pattern, it looked way better. And it had its own flavor. It's still not the best it could be, but I'm happy with it for now. It is miles better than the shell guy. Goddamn, he can go die under water and fire, jump off a plane, I don't know. He's not a son to me. He's not. The last creature I worked on was my favorite one. I chose the colors of purple and blue because from the start I knew I wanted this creature to be a mystic sorcerer. I liked the shape of the snake, but wanted to add something more that would add to it. So I added this insect bee butt, don't know how to describe it, and I really liked it. It gave the silhouette and the shape recognizability. And overall an aesthetic look that I just loved. Something about this monster is just, goddamn, just. I also worked on the feet. I don't like giving creatures just rounded stumps, so I gave him like hooved legs. I'm still not quite happy with it, but I am a difficult person and I don't know how to describe my feelings and emotions, so just stick with me. And then I started to work with the outline, fixing some pixels who were rubbing against each other, and then with shading. I loved working on this PsyB, let's call it PsyB. I finally found what I wanted. The amount of shade to be used, the color range, the detail. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little, it was distinct, but it didn't stick out. I love him so much, goddammit. I love him. He's my baby and is the best monster I made out of all of these 5, and I hope you love him as well. You better love him as well. I loved working on these monsters. It gave me more practice with pixel art that I might use later on while I make my own games with my friends, or just in general. Maybe I'll decide to do more pixel art because I did like it and gave me good experience. I might make more monsters for the monster tower, and if it's not clear, I'm not associated with them. I am not an artist for them. This is just purely fan art. I love their project, I love the idea, and I'm making it purely out of just support and that I like it. If you like the content, subscribe, like, comment, jump, do a push-up. I don't know, I'm not your boss.